Good morning, and welcome to the AI Impacts podcast. This is the first of a series of two guys who've seen a lot of water under the bridge in the world of digital and technology, hopefully sharing some insights that are of value to some other people. My name's Scott Howard. I'm going to pass you over to Mark Brown. Do you want to say a little bit about where you've come from and what's led you to this point of deciding to share on this podcast?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Scott, thanks. So I'm Mark. I'm a software engineer and founder who has spent his career building things and leaning into emerging technology. I focus on recognizing what's going to be useful when it matters and how to implement it properly. Trying to avoid the risk of falling into using tech for tech's sake. I'm here to, and with that said, the hype now around emerging technology is AI, and it's so hard to keep up because it's so fast paced. So this podcast gives me an opportunity to discuss, be curious and kind of be grounded in what's going on and hopefully shine a light for others who share the same feeling. So that's me. What about you, Scott?
I really particularly like that. I think there'll be a recurring theme, hopefully, if we're successful with this endeavour around focusing on what matters and less so just the shiny objects that often sometimes surface. So, very different background for me. I started off life as an account manager in an advertising agency in .com one. Fell into, after Bill Gates' famous speech of saying everybody must get themselves online or they'll be gone in 5 years at the beginning of .com one, fell into then digital project management within that digital agency scene or digital departments within advertising agencies. And launched in 2006 a consultancy, really exactly as you described, doing digital strategy work so that digital transformation work could be focused on where the value really was, and not just on the basis of pushing projects over the line. And so it's really kind of 25 years, and latterly been working in banks and some energy companies supporting their digital transformation work. And again, just seeing some of the pitfalls come up again and again, and hoping to be able to speak freely in this space, to be able to share some insights that are of value with whichever listeners turn up for us. So yeah, that's it. So feeling great about this. I'm glad we've got a format of attempting to do 3 topics, 5 minutes each, and hopefully get some insights within a 5-minute period. And maybe we'll finish up doing deep dives on some stuff, but that's our format. I'm trying to keep to a timeline of 20 minutes. Do you think we'll manage, Mark?
We'll give it a go. We can only get better.
Exactly, yeah.
So on that then, I'll take us into our first topic today. So Scott, I'd like to say we've seen a lot of speculation about an AI financial bubble lately. How do you think this could impact technology investments and AI projects in general?
Yeah, it feels like the topic of the week, right? I just looked at the NVIDIA share price before coming on here, and they've actually only dropped just under 6% in the last 6 days. So in terms of context, what have we seen? We saw a 46-day government shutdown in the States. That seems to have sucked liquidity from markets, and it's created a new type of shock that speculators and pundits are struggling to pin on. Was this about a crypto Bitcoin price correction, or was this about an AI bubble? I certainly don't have the answer to that, but interestingly, I saw Ken Fisher, the head of Fisher Investments, on his podcast, said the bubble situation is very clear. Bubbles pop violently, and if people are saying bubble, then it isn't a bubble. was his perspective as a senior financier. I think a $5 trillion valuation on Nvidia feels as excessive as the heyday of mid 2000s on Amazon, when people were saying there's no way this company selling DVDs and books can possibly merit this valuation. And at that time, unable to see the long-term transformation. So I think we're in a space in the hype cycle where there is overvaluation, and there are bigger kind of systemic risks around wars and politics and the American economy that are creating a more complex problem. So I don't think it's as simple as saying we're in a bubble, but the idea that there isn't going to be some market correction based upon lots of factors, I think, is almost an inevitability over the next year, in some shape or form. But I could be completely wrong about that. What do you think, Mark?
I think that question was possibly best placed for you. I don't follow the markets so much, but I do see the headlines. And I read the other day, I think Peter Thiel, he sold out of Nvidia, and I think our feeds tend to be relative to what we read, and I am seeing quite a bit about big names in trading selling out on Nvidia, Tesla. I know Tesla's not necessarily AI, although it does have a leaning, a dependency on
I
it.
think it wants people to believe that it is.
Yeah. And talking about trying to cause maybe a run on the market to get other people to follow suit. So yeah, but
The irony, isn't
that's
it, that the guys whose wealth is the billionaires have a regulatory obligation in the States to disclose their trades. But I think one thing I've learned on my journey is that just because they've sold out of Nvidia, it doesn't mean to say they're not going to go back in, but the valuation just feels too strong. And it's Nvidia is the bellwether, but in fact, it's probably in Palantir that Peter Thiel founded, the ratio of earnings to profits is even greater. So I think it's one to watch. I think the concern is the extent to which that could, in the same way we saw a dot-com crash, we could see a similar thing, and how that affects real businesses trying to do good work in the nature of what we try to help businesses with. That's the real secondary concern. Let's push on. You mentioned this, the potential structural impact, and I think something we've spoken about before is the structural impact is often referred to of AI adoption in the society as primarily being about jobs displacement, and how jobs displacement gets most of the airtime with regard to what does AI transformation in society mean. What are your thoughts on that? And is it all bad news, or is there any? What have you reflected on?
I think it's a huge topic, and one that 5 minutes can't discuss all facets. So I boiled it down to perception. It depends on what your current job is. It depends on somebody as a person. And so what I mean by those 2 points, my personal experience is working and talking with CEOs who look at people as being the labor problem, is how I've had it described. Using AI to reduce headcount for a CEO who's interested in profitability and satisfying shareholders, it's a positive. Then there are other people, perhaps in the tech community or white collar roles, I'll say, who the AI technology helps them do the same job but makes it easier for them or quicker, allows them to focus on the more complex and, I dare say, fun elements of the job and have the mundane done for them. So for those people, it can also be a positive.
Let
But
me
then,
ask, because I think you hit on something there, that description of a CEO culture that is just fast hire, fast fire. Does that hinder an AI transformation? I mean, is that the thing that we're calling out for change? Because it's, in order to make new technologies work, you need to retain talent and attract talent that's specialist to that technology. Is probably more aligns to where I've come from. Are we calling CEOs to change their ways with regard to fast fire?
I don't have an answer to that, Scott. I think we need to ask CEOs to think about the human impact. And if that means addressing fast fire, then yes. The I was going to go on to talk about the people whose jobs that will be hugely affected by this. And the example that I was going to give is drivers. A huge portion of the workforce drives for a living. And if automated vehicles come in that lean on AI for prediction and decision making, they'll be displaced. But do they want to do other jobs? What other jobs can they do? And if they do want to do other jobs, how long does it take to train them to do the other jobs? So their perspective is it's a negative, but other people could see it as a positive. And if you're the CEO of a company that has these drivers, then I think it becomes your responsibility it should become your responsibility to consider the human impact of taking on this technology. But I think that it's really difficult for that CEO as well, because he's got to consider that the CEO of another company who does it is potentially going to have that commercial advantage over he or she, they, if they don't.
Yeah, there's a reskilling requirement, and your analogy or metaphor of the drivers is, the self-driving car doesn't really know what to do with a flat tire. So is there an opportunity for drivers to become fleet monitors and mechanics that are there on rapid call? And what we don't hear is lots of that now. We don't hear fantastic opportunities for reskilling in the quality of our AI transformation, the new roles that are created. And I think, the driverless cars is obviously the one. It's being chased so heavily, perhaps as a fast buck to say, look how much taxi drivers earn globally if we could replace those earnings with profit. But again, we're not looking at society the right way and the opportunity the right way.
No.
That's the only thing.
And the narrative is to cite these jobs that they say will come up: data scientist, AI engineer. But do the majority of drivers want to train to do that? I loathe to say, are they capable? But
at least that would be, perhaps the message is stop just talking about joblessness, CEOs, pundits, but start talking about the new roles. Entice people in markets and in workplaces with a sense of what the new opportunity is. But for that, you need vision. And I guess perhaps we are dealing with 30 years of the stock market being more focused on just job cuts and overhead reduction as a way of boosting share price. So maybe that's where the two things tie together.
I also think that fundamentally, everybody is concerned about not losing whichever race they're in their vertical. And it's not going to be until people have not lost, that they then start focusing on
Yeah, yeah,
the societal, the
yeah.
cultural, the human impact.
That's a really good one because I think that's again another great way of describing it. If your approach to technology adoption is as simplistic as just winning the race, then lots of things won't necessarily go as well as you would hope they would go because of that simplistic approach. If I move on to that last cut, it feels like a segue into our third topic, which was a discussion about echoes from the dot-com boom and bust era that we both worked through. Um, what are you seeing in terms of similarities with now or differences with now? And are there any lessons that you would share with things we would do differently this time around in big, um, a big technology impact time again?
But looking around right now, I don't see that we are doing anything differently. I think that back then, everybody thought that if we got a website, then we're ready, we're good. If we don't get a website, then we are doomed. Uh, a lot of people now seem to think that they need AI. I just think that a lot of people just need better tech, and it doesn't need to be AI, and maybe AI shone a light on that. Uh, I think that there are a lot of people whose CVs have turned into AI consultant CVs or AI salesperson CVs, and I think that reflects on salespeople and people back in the dot-com era all of a sudden becoming website experts or SEO experts or whatever field it was that they thought that was going to get them that quick buck. But I think that ultimately the dot-com bubble burst gave the tree a good shake,
Yeah.
and the genuine talent stayed, and the car salesman who promising and hand waving and telling people the capabilities of the companies that didn't exist. I think for a large part, went missing. But I think the really positive takeaway from the dot-com bubble was infrastructure, protocols, browsers, email, the precursors for social media, for messaging, e-commerce. There are so many precursors for the digital era, which is brilliant, that we're in now, came out of that. And I think that we're possibly going to see a new era, a new leveling up of infrastructure and MCP as an example, protocols and things that are going to
So
be
what you're
durable.
describing there is technologies that don't, on the face of it, look that shiny at the point of adoption, but in fact become the building blocks of real transformation in our working lives and personal lives over time.
Yeah, that there'll be some durable, useful, needed things come out of it, I think, and we'll cut the wheat from the chaff, as they say, and then build on the durable, useful
Is there a
stuff.
lesson on timing? Because obviously, well, just this month is 3 years since ChatGPT's launch, but the adoption by the larger society has probably been slower than that. Is there a lesson from dot-com one with regard to this sort of curve of adoption and when does when does AI really start to make a difference? Is it a couple of years from now, or is it next year, or is it already there?
I think it's a great question. I think that the dot-com era was narrower in terms of focus than the AI era. It touches so many things. AI.com was a bit narrower. But in terms of adoption, I see a lot of similarities in timing and in usage. And but that's the general perception of AI is it's chat GPT and it's a browser that we use for to generate some natural language or an image or a video or some sound or some funny stuff. I think the majority of the public doesn't know how much it impacts them every day. I think you had to deliberately go and use the web where you can you just use AI without using it. So I think it's
Yeah, I think I had a sense when I think back to how I felt in the mid 2000s that we only got to start our best work in our digital agencies once the hype cycle had completed. So, as you described, get me website, get me award winning website, get me flash website, get me database driven website. Only when that era ended, post crash, 2003, 2004, were we able to have more intelligent conversations with clients about strategy? What are we trying to achieve? Are there processes that exist in your business that will benefit from now being web based?
yeah.
I
I
wonder if we
think
need that to happen in AI as well.
I think we maybe need to move from the growth phase for growth's sake to a sustainable phase. Let's focus on what's sustainable, and I think that it will be bad for some people who are invested in, but if the bubble bursts, I think there's going to be a positive outcome to
Yeah,
that as well.
yeah. Yes, it might change the nature of the conversation to be more positive than just get me the AI. And maybe that's an inevitability that has to happen. Okay, that's us at time on topic 3. What have we achieved, Mark?
Well, it's our first podcast, so we've done it.
We're covering 3 topics.
We have
I've
covered
certainly
3
enjoyed it.
topics. Yeah.
It felt like compressed time, but I guess that's the nature of podcasts.
Yeah, but we kept to the times fairly well, I think, and
So,
made
yeah.
some sense. And yeah, I'm
And
happy
hopefully
with
we'll
that.
do another one in 2 weeks' time.
That would be good.
That's the plan. Comments and likes, dislikes, welcomed. Hit like and subscribe.
Yeah, do it. Thanks, Scott.
All right, thanks, Mark. See you in a couple of
Bye.
weeks. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.